Hello, we are live. Welcome to the Dirty Birds podcast. My name is Will, and you can find me on Twitter at Live on That Swing. Live on That Swing. Joining me tonight is what's your name?
My name is Logan. You can find me on Twitter at Divergent1113.
And we are here tonight to do a recap of Week 1's Arizona Cardinals contest against the Los Angeles Chargers. Out of it tonight. Anyway, you want to lead the way?
Sure. Let's take from the top and let's talk about the performance of the first team starters. Sam Bradford mainly directing the whole offense. I thought he did pretty well, especially with pre-snap reads.
I think he did pretty well with that. I think David Johnson. I feel like I feel like it's a bit too early to say, but I think he's having a little bit of resurgence right now. I feel like Fitz, and I think Fitz did pretty well. I think everybody except all of our receivers, other than Fitz, did not do great, but Fitz did good.
On the first team, it's a little hard to talk about the receivers because there was only one pass actually thrown while they were in, and it was only to Fitz. So I guess you can't really talk down on Butler or Williams. They weren't targeted at all. They were just blocking the whole time. So I think they get a little bit of a reprieve this week. But as for the receivers on the second team, I wasn't really impressed with that. We'll get to that later. But right. I do agree. Fitz looked great. He looked great in blocking and pretty much doing Fitz things.
Yep. This might be a short podcast this week. All right. Should we talk about Rosen's debut?
I was underwhelmed at first until I started noticing all the things that were going on around him, especially the offensive line play.
I think he did well for what he was handed. I feel like his stat line did not reflect his performance. If you look at his game, you could see he threw some really good passes, but JJ can't catch a ball to save his life. Munyer just gave him some awful fucking snaps. He was snapping it low,
bowling him onto the ground. They were at his feet. It was pitiful.
Absolutely, and it's frustrating because it's like you look at him and you say, it's only preseason, but you look at this and say, imagine how much better he's going to be when he's going along the first strings.
When the snaps are not on the ground, when his tackles aren't just letting defensive ends just come right up into his face, and then when the defensive tackles aren't just blowing through the guards. I honestly think that Rosen's going to do a lot better against the Saints because he's going to get more time with the ones. That's according to Steve Wilkes. So I think we can get more of a sample size on what he actually looks like and how much progress he's actually made in the second game as opposed to the first one, because it's like we're getting at the offensive line was horrible. J.J. Nelson has proven that he eats butter for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and Greg Little can't keep his feet in bounds. I find it impossible. I find it impossible to get myself hyped for this guy that's been out of the league for 4 years, and when he was in the league, he wasn't at all that mesmerizing.
I mean, with all the people we could have signed of the free agency, I mean, Macklin and Des Bryant are still out there. I know those are big fucking signings, but like, with those people still out there, we're still rolling with J.J. Nelson and Greg Little. I mean, it's been a very uninspiring wide receiver core this year.
I definitely agree. I know Dez is really, really a controversial player, especially in the locker room. But when you look at the depth that we have at receiver behind Fitz, the lack thereof. Can we really afford to be picky of who's catching a ball right now?
I mean, the only thing with Dez is he's really, at least this is what I've heard, he's really wanting to go to the NFC East, and it's like, Philly doesn't want him, Dallas doesn't want him, Redskins are too stupid to get him, and the Giants already have 3 decent receivers, so it's like he's not really going anywhere. I mean, the Ravens.
So it seems like he's a beggar that's trying to be a chooser right now.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And the Ravens offered him money, and he turned it down because he's still going for the NFC East. And it's like he's just doing that because he's trying to be petty.
Exactly. And that's why there's a stigma of he's locker room cancer, he's a diva, and I definitely get a lot of that. But it's just like I said, there's a lack of depth behind Fitzgerald at the receiver position. The young guys like Chad Williams haven't stepped up. We don't know what to expect out of Christian Kirk. He wasn't that targeted that much in the preseason game at all.
Well,
so
the thing with
Christian Kirk,
first impressions mean everything to me in the NFL. I feel like Christian Kirk, his breakout run on that kickoff was fucking astounding, man. I feel like
that was great.
If we put him at that position he's our special teams guy for punt returns, I feel like he could have some breakout runs. Like people were
do that on offense too. Just needs to be given the shot. I don't think he got the shot so much on Saturday night.
Absolutely. I mean, we relied more on the run game from what I noticed the other night, and it's like Chase Edmonds. I mean, let's talk about that first touchdown. I don't think he got in. I'm not ever going to debate us getting a touchdown or not. Like, why would you debate a good thing? But like, I don't think he was in.
I give him the benefit of the doubt. His knee might have been down, but it was like Ron Wolfley and Dave Pasternak, I think his name is. They were saying there wasn't any clear evidence to overturn it. So I definitely agree with the call. But I think a guy with that mentality that he has, the scrappy dog kind of mentality, I think he got in. And I saw him climbing over the dude. I personally think he was in, but I know a lot of people do disagree with me. But it was a great run, like no matter what. And I'm like you said, I'm never going to debate a Cardinal touchdown.
Absolutely. I feel like it was actually really cool to see like him trending on Twitter like after the touchdown. I think most of that was people saying like, "Oh, it's either really fucking cool that he did this," or "Oh, I don't think he did this." But
yeah, a lot of people were saying that they thought he was down. I was looking around on the area of like the Cardinals Chargers game, and a lot of people saying, "Oh, I don't think he was in," or people saying, "Oh, what it was cool to see a little guy who's only 5'9" doing that and everything." So.
My only thing I had against that opening drive is that I really wish we could have seen a little more of Johnson. He was taken out after like 4 or 5 plays, and it's just like you don't just have somebody out there like that just to take him away, give him back.
It was definitely frustrating because he was really looking good, especially and the offensive line was opening holes. Mason Cole was looking like a seasoned veteran out there, and then Johnson is just juking people. Honestly, it got me really excited for the regular season, and I was also disappointed when they took him out. I was like, no, put him back in there. Let him shred some ankles.
Yeah, I think so should we go on to talk about Glennon, or what should we do now?
I think we can talk about Glennon and the fact that I don't think he should be on the team right now.
Well, I think from the get-go, people were firmly against his signing. I feel like the fact that he didn't prove himself with the Bears was just really frustrating. They paid him $15 million a year for 3 years. That was going to be their contract until they dropped him in the first year of their contract.
I don't blame them.
And it's like we're only paying him $8 million. Like the only reasonable justification I've heard, and it's like it's not the reason we have him, but like the only reasonable thing I've heard for having him is as trade bait, because I hear there is actually some trade value for Glennon.
I don't see how there's trade value for Glennon at all.
Well, there are plenty of teams that are looking for a quarterback. Like I'm thinking like the Bills, they need a quarterback. Like AJ McCarron will not last for the Bills.
Would you rather have Glennon or AJ McCarron?
AJ McCarron, honestly.
So I mean, that's why I don't think there's a trade market. The Bills are like, I already got the better guy.
Of course, but we don't even know that. I mean, McCarron never started with Buffalo, with the Bengals. He's sort of like the Matt Cassell of the team. He's been there, but you don't really know what to say about him.
I think he started like 1 or 2 games in injury relief, but I don't think he was particularly astounding with his stat lines at all, if I recall.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, no, not really. I mean, the let's see, who else needs a? I mean, the Texans. Well, no. What am I saying? Texans have no, Redskins trade for him after like Alex Smith throws a check down pass on a 4th and 24.
I feel like that's such a bad trade on the Chiefs part, and not the Chiefs part, the Redskins part. My bad.
Oh my god. No, the Redskins got fucking swindled there.
Captain Checkdown is gonna continue throwing 6-yard passes all day, but that's their deal. I mean,
the thing I heard, like Gambo say at least, like during the broadcast, I think it was either Gambo or B-Train. I know that's like both announcers, but who cares? They were both
blocked me.
Yeah, but they were saying like, oh, what we could do with them is that we could trade we could trade Glenn and use Knopf, because Knopf had a, is it Knopf or Kanoff?
It's Knopf.
Knopf had a fucking astounding game the other night.
I agree. He made some good passes that a lot of the other QBs weren't making.
But if we could trade Glennon and get some usage out of Knopf, I mean, we don't even need Knopf to be a starter. We just need him to be on the lineup. I mean, I've heard people justify saying we could put him on the practice squad, but it's like,
well, he might get scooped out of the practice squad.
Yeah, why would you put one of your best guys on your practice squad?
An undrafted free agent that is a quarterback, no less, that showed the ability to throw the deep ball, that showed he has the mental capability to throw under pressure, because he was still with the threes for the offensive line. They weren't particularly great either. Yeah. So why wouldn't a team at least want that as a developmental project or a third stringer? And honestly, it's got to be better than Glennon, because my favorite moment of when Glennon was in the game was when they threw, I believe it was Swirl kid, DJ Foster, on a wheel route, and Glennon just airmails the ball like 5 yards in front of him. And I feel like that just sums up Glennon as a quarterback.
Yeah.
Right there.
And it's the funniest thing. Like, I live in North Carolina. Like, they like a few years ago when he was like at NC State, it was either, we're gonna have you as the quarterback or Russell Wilson, and then you know who they chose?
It was Glennon.
Mike fucking Glennon was the quarterback for NC State for a few years, and that's why Russell Wilson transferred.
Went to Wisconsin, drafted. They both went in the 3rd round.
Yeah, and Russell Wilson is the only person to willingly ever choose to go to Wisconsin. But yeah, speaking of rookies on the practice squad, did you see the Bills game the other night with Josh Allen's performance?
Yeah, he was airmailing like at least 5 or 6 balls out.
Oh my god, it was the one where it was like 4th and 24 or 4th and 14. It was like one of the most brutal plays I've ever seen. That was, it's like, they moved up to get him. That's the funniest part of all of it.
I was really glad they did so, because I knew the Cardinals were kind of wanting him, and I was like, no, this dude has got bust written all over his face. Like, they're trying to label this guy as a Carson Wentz 2.0, and I'm like, that's just not the case here.
I mean, Carson Wentz was a special case because, South Dakota State, they've always been great in the FCS. It's sort of like they've always been like a powerhouse there. They're sort of like the new App State of the FCS. But, it's Wyoming. I mean, if you're dominating, if they had a 7-5 record in the Mountain West last year, right? Or some ridiculous. So. They had some ridiculously low record last year in the Mountain West. People are calling him the fucking Messiah. And it's just absolutely mind-boggling, because it's like, he's a white guy with a good arm who could throw it 90 yards down the field. If he's black, he's Jamarcus Russell.
Yeah, but if he's white, he's Peyton Manning. So I understand what you're saying. And my biggest bone to pick with Josh Allen was the fact that at a crappy level of competition, he completed only 57% of his passes. And people are always trying to brush that off. They're like, accuracy doesn't mean anything. They're like those stats in college don't mean anything. But if you look at Carson Wentz, he completed, I believe, over 62% of his passes, which that's good. That's a good completion percentage. That's fine. But when you're supposed to be a number 7 overall pick and you're playing in the FCS in the Mountain West division at Wyoming against crappy schools,
not even the FCS. Mountain West is FBS.
Okay, so yeah, worse. When you're playing at that low level of a competition, you should not have 57% completion percentage. If you put Baker Mayfield on that team, I guarantee you he's going to get close to 70%.
And they went 7-5 during the regular season and won their bowl game. But Josh Allen did not play in the bowl game.
I did not understand the infatuation with him, other than the fact that he was 6'5" and has a huge arm.
Well, yeah, it's all about the tangibles. It's never about what he actually does on the field. That's the thing with every one of those white quarterbacks. It's like if they got a big arm, they're tall, they're just every scout's wet dream,
Exactly. My favorite quote from Daniel Jeremiah, the NFL draft scout, was when he said, "Always learn to take accuracy over arm strength." And that is one of the truest things that I have heard for the NFL. ever. Because
Absolutely.
if you look at all the quarterbacks that have won Super Bowls, they have amazing accuracy. Drew Brees, Aaron Rodgers, Peyton Manning, Tom Brady. The list can go on and on of all these quarterbacks that have Super Bowl rings,
Well,
and they are very accurate.
Nick Foles and Joe Flacco are on that list now.
Yeah, I mean, obviously there's gonna be outliers.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely. I mean, shit, man. I mean, I was gonna say the Ravens coach, Ravens quarterback won a Super Bowl, but I can't remember his name. So in the 2000s. Okay, but yeah, I mean, I'm looking at this is a weird tangent. I'm looking at his
I mean,
record during like last season. Is like his wins are just not that impressive. His first win of the season was Gardner Webb, and they only beat him by 27. And it's like I know that's a really like snobby thing to say, but if you're playing like Gardner Webb, they're a low. I don't think they're even FCS. That are they? Yeah,
I don't know.
they
I've
are.
never even heard of that school.
It's yeah, they're over here in North Carolina. They finished 1-10, and they somehow only beat them by 27. And I know that's really snooty to say, but
I mean, the only Power Five team they played was like Oregon, and Josh Allen did not have a good game against Oregon. That should
well, I
have
mean,
been the red flag.
I mean, they played against Oregon and he played against Iowa. I mean, Iowa's never a great team. They're always, I mean, they're always either okay or meh or whatever, but they're never beat you by 21 kind of team. But he lost to Iowa by 21.
I know, it was pretty embarrassing.
Yeah.
But your scouts are like, oh man, college stats don't matter. You're like, he's got a big, he's 6'5". Oh my lord, he has huge hands. He's not going to fumble.
I know it's always too early to say this, but like every quarterback like that started, like rookie quarterback first rounder that started other than Allen actually looked really good in what they did. Darnold looked all right. Lamar Jackson did pretty good.
Lamar Jackson made plays with his legs. Baker Mayfield looked accurate. He looked like what he was advertised to be.
He looks like he's going to be amazing, which, it's like the Browns in the preseason. That's always false advertising. He's going to be the next Johnny Manziel.
I don't think Baker is going to be the next Johnny Manziel because I think the core difference between Johnny Manziel and Baker Mayfield is upbringing. Johnny Manziel was brought up in a wealthier family. Baker Mayfield was brought up in more of a middle-class family. Not poor by any stretch of the imagination, but I feel like Baker has a better upbringing than Johnny. And that upbringing and the environment that you're brought up in has a lot to do with a person when they become a man. So I think that Baker is a lot more in control of himself than Johnny was at 23.
I feel like I think Johnny himself basically said it. The difference between him and Mayfield is the work ethic. Like like Johnny Manziel never looked like he was going to do anything on the field. He never had that flair to him. He did great at Texas A&M because that was a good environment for him to be in because it's Texas A&M. I mean, if you're Johnny Manziel, that's the perfect place to be.
Exactly.
But it's he couldn't translate well to the NFL, and it's like I feel like the Browns coaching staff didn't do him any favors because it's like the Browns coaching staff is never that good in that regard.
Exactly, I agree. And now that the Browns do have it a lot better because John Dorsey actually knows how to pick personnel, and that's why I think the Browns are going to start trending up, and I think it's going to start this year. I mean, look at their receiving core: Jarvis Landry and Josh Gordon.
If you're 0-16, the most likely thing is for you to trend upward. I mean, that's not.
That's no other place to go.
Yeah, no way. But it's crazy. But yeah, we are way off. Holy shit, we are way off track.
Let's transition. Was there any standout players that you want to talk about other than maybe Knopf and Mason Cole?
Cap Capri, holy shit, how did we ever let him go? I mean, I know he showed off against the third teamers, but Jesus Christ, that dude had 3 sacks. Maybe more.
You can take BA for that one.
Well, yeah, absolutely. Well, yeah. Well, the fact that he's bounced around from team to team, it's holy shit, how did we miss this guy?
That's what makes me I really think Cappy should be on an NFL roster, and I want him to make our 53. But the fact that he has bounced around so much, when it comes to regular season time, it gives me just a little bit of reasonable doubt if he's actually going to contribute on the 53. Is he just a preseason guy? Is that all he is, or can he actually contribute in third down packages or a nickel package or a heavy blitz package. I don't know. Like we haven't really seen him against top tier linemen.
Of course, I mean but we're looking at this and we're saying, we've already got somebody on that roster spot, so we're going to probably put him at a second string or third string, right?
Correct.
So we don't really got to worry about it until that the time comes, really.
I think that you could do a lot worse than Cappy for a depth wise position. You got to figure you're gonna get Marcus Golden back, and Marcus Golden, yeah, he was never really an outside linebacker. He's always been a hand in the dirt type guy. I mean, he had 12.5 sacks as an outside linebacker, but with the 3-4, an outside linebacker is just a glorified defensive end.
Yeah, and I know this is random, but I actually checked to see if we made any cuts yet, and I actually found out we signed somebody new and dropped somebody today. We signed a guy named Austin Wolf from Akron, and we dropped Rashad Ross. I don't know what.
Oh yeah, I heard about that.
Yeah, and it's apparently he wasn't a productive receiver at Akron, and he doesn't have any experience returning punts or kicks, so we're saying he's probably going to be practice squad fodder. So.
I think he's just going to be a camp body. I mean, if he wasn't productive at Akron, then he's probably just not going to make the practice squad. He's probably just going to be a camp body and get cut after in the cut down to 53.
Yeah, maybe. But maybe I know this is always sort of assumptuous, but maybe our coach shows something that we don't know.
I feel like Wilkes and McCoy and Holcomb really are good with personnel. I feel like our coaching staff is a lot better at identifying talent than what we had with BA.
Yeah, I feel like I'm actually more excited to see what our coaches offer than our players offer. Because
I agree.
Because my biggest thing with Arian is he wouldn't know when to let go of certain people. His special teams and Betcher. It's just it's insane how long.
Boyfriend Amos Jones, his boyfriend Andre Ellington that he finally got rid of, his other boyfriend Drew Stanton that he paid $5 million a year. I really was not impressed with BA's personnel choices. You look at most of his draft picks, and most of them are busts and aren't on the team anymore, except for DJ Humphries, Robert Kimdichie.
We only had 2 successful draft picks over the past 7 years. That's the funniest thing.
Exactly.
And it's
5 of those 7 years were under BA.
And
so the vast majority of those years are under his regime.
And the most frustrating thing about Arian's regime is you always felt like he was trying to be cute during the draft. Instead of taking known quantities, he'd just take people, from we took a guy from Temple in the first round 2 years ago, Hassan Reddick, and it's he did okay, but it's did we really need to take him over all the other people that we could have taken?
I honestly, in that draft, I still like Reddick, and Reddick did look good in the preseason game. He looks fast. He's got all the tools, and I think he has a really good coaching staff, especially with Larry Foote being the linebackers coach. I think he's probably going to yield some return. But like you said, do you really need to take a guy out of Temple and try to make him a middle linebacker, then make him an outside linebacker again, and then especially when Reuben Foster was available? I get it. Legal issues, he has those, but he's only suspended for 1 game this year. 1 game. All those charges, the domestic violence charges, were lies. His Reuben Foster's girlfriend came out on the stand and said, lie.
I mean, if I would have taken anybody, I'm looking at our tight end core, and it's absolute garbage. I would have taken Evan Ingram. He's showing off pretty well.
Yeah, BA's not going to take Evan Ingram or anyone like that because he was my tight ends have to block all the time. And BA never was one for receiving tight ends. So Evan Ingram, I don't even think was in their top 20.
Yeah. Or hell, fuck, man. Imagine if we took a Juju. He was a late second rounder.
Yeah, I know.
Juju, Kamara, holy fuck, we missed a lot of people. And I know that's just we couldn't have predicted any of that. If we had taken Shaquille Griffin, that could have been cool. But that's very assumptuous.
I actually did watch Shaquille Griffin in the most recent draft. I was really hoping we would take him.
Well, that's you're thinking of your brother. You're thinking of Shaquem Griffin, I think it was.
Yeah, Shaquem, the one-handed guy. Shaquille Griffin is his brother, corner with 2 hands.
Yeah. Yeah, nice distinction there. Lord. Okay.
So, well, for my standout player, though, uh, I was not prepared for this question. I think it was probably Ben Wickery because, like, just how physical he was looking and how he was just, he seemed like he had a nose for the ball almost. I don't think he got any interceptions. He contributed to an interception, but he's had a nose for knowing where the ball was, and he had a few deflections here and there. Like I said, he deflected the ball, and then was the Howard dude? I don't know. I don't know the camp body safety's name. He picked it off, and I just feel like Ben Wickery really does know the Wilkes system. He was in Carolina, and that was really the only time he was actually successful in his career, when he was across from Josh Norman in Carolina. Well, now he's got someone better than Josh Norman with Pat P, and he's still playing with Steve Wilkes now. So he knows the system. He's comfortable. I think that he definitely should make the roster over Brandon Williams.
I mean, I think that's never been a debate. Like, Brandon Williams has never been good. Like, I can't like think of a single snap he actually contributed on, like, ever, to be honest.
I don't think there's any defense for drafting Brandon Williams in third round. I don't think there's any defense for drafting Brandon Williams, period, in the 2016 draft. That whole draft, other than maybe Kimdichie, was a debacle for us.
Well, Kimdichie hasn't really shown up much either. He's just sort of been there.
He's the only one I have hope for still. Let's put it that way.
I mean, it's been 3 years, though.
I know. It's been 3 years. But you look at all the physical talent. The man is so strong. He's fast for how big he is. And I'm hoping this is like his last year to prove that he can be something. Because we're in a 4-3. I mean, look what happened when Calais Campbell went from a 3-4 to a 4-3. He has 14.5 sacks last season.
Yeah.
So I'm just hoping that maybe like he can just destroy it. You know, Al Holcomb was he's a good defensive coordinator. He's a good defensive coach. I don't remember who we hired to be our defensive line coach, but I think he was from Carolina. Carolina obviously had a great defensive line. Coaching breeds good players. So yeah. I think that Kimdichie has the big opportunity to take a really big step forward, or he could just flop again this year, and then at that point, I think it's just null and void. I think his career should be over.
There's got to be a point like where we've decided we had enough of him, though. I feel like we should have gotten to that point a bit earlier, but like I feel like, I've gotten sick of him, man. I don't feel like he should be on the team. He doesn't belong here.
I've gotten sick of him not doing anything, but I do understand the coaches looking at him and just wanting to give him one more shot. I mean, he was the 29th overall pick. He's got a decent-sized contract, but, I mean, in the grand scheme of things, he's not making that much money, and we don't have to pick up the fifth-year option, so it's not really a high-risk, high-reward type thing. It's really more of a low-risk, possibly high-reward kind of guy with him. And if he doesn't perform, I mean, just kiss him goodbye when his contract's up.
Yeah. So what else is on the docket? New helmet leading rule. There was a bullshit penalty we got where perfectly normal tackle, what would have been a perfectly normal tackle last year, got called for a penalty because it looked like one of our guys was leading helmet first to get the tackle. I feel like that whole rule is just as a big mess. I feel like it's one of the worst rules that's been implemented. Like, I get the purpose of it. I get that as player safety, but it's like you got to wonder, like, what's the line there?
I think the rule is a major fuck up because you're not going to be able to avoid concussions in football. I can understand wanting to improve player safety all the time, but at the end of the day, the players are already taught to tackle properly. Now you're just gonna, if you're gonna penalize hits like the OJ Howard hit, then I'm obviously still gonna watch, but I'm just gonna get so annoyed every time I see a flag for that because it's just so stupid, especially if a hit that was textbook like that. Like, you look at him, his face mask is up and everything. He got lower than the man in front of him, just like he was supposed to do, and he put his face mask on the pigskin. There was nothing wrong with that tackle. But you could tell that ref was itching to throw that flag right there. It came out immediately. That's what annoys me. I don't think the refs are trained at all for what to look for with this. I feel like it's more kind of like a targeting penalty, kind of like what they have in college. But
I feel like it.
you look at the college refs, they don't call
Yeah,
targeting all the time because they're trained to look for what targeting actually is, which is hitting the crown of the helmet. I think the
yeah.
NFL refs need to be oriented on how to actually regulate that rule so that it's not just penalty flag, penalty flag, penalty flag, 15 yards, 15 yards, 15 yards, like for 3.5 hours.
Yeah. I feel like because it had I know this would be like really inefficient, but I feel like it should have been rolled out like gradually. I feel like a rule like that, like just coming into the league like that and not having any training for it, not having any of that, is not effective.
I, I agree to a point. I think the rule should just be repealed. It's a horrible decision. Um,
I think it will be eventually because it's like with with the NFL, it's like they're all about like they're trying to get to a point where the game's like it gets to a point where it's just as fast as it can go. And I feel like as soon as that becomes an issue and hinders the speed of the game, they're going to realize, oh, hey, this probably isn't worth it.
I agree.
Player safety or not, that's just really inefficient.
They're already having a lot of issues with with everything being reviewed all the time. Every scoring play is reviewed. Sometimes it takes forever. Then they still don't know what a catch is, so sometimes they'll spend 5 minutes reviewing on a catch. You've seen all the reviews that take forever. Now they have penalties that are just going to lengthen the speed of the game. So I definitely get what you're saying, and I 100% agree. I feel like it's going to get repealed just because the NFL doesn't want its viewers to to get bored watching penalty flag after penalty flag.
Yeah. I feel like I know this is a different like tangent, but I feel like we really screwed over Jeremy Cash after what happened to him.
Just waved them.
Yeah, we just like let him go with an injury settlement. And it's like, come on, man, that's not right.
Um,
I
I
get I get the reason behind it because it's like eventually he just takes up a roster spot, but like still, man, they just really did him dirty.
I think it's just like art of the game. Like he might have been a contender for the 53, but he wasn't going to be like a starter by any stretch of the imagination.
Yeah,
So I just believe that it's just business of the game. Like he's not that important of a player. He had a season-ending injury. They don't want to just throw him on the IR because then that means he's going to be a roster spot at the end of the season. Because at the end of the season, you don't have the IR and practice squad are dissolved, and everyone just goes back on the roster. I
yeah,
don't know. I feel like they just didn't want to deal with that, so they're just like goodbye. Plus I feel like the guy they signed to replace him, Gerald Hodges, is better anyways. Might not be as fast as Jeremy Cash, but he's more experienced. He's bigger, tackles better.
yeah. I admittedly don't know a lot about Gerald Hodges. I haven't really followed his career as much.
He was like on the 49ers for a while. Then he was on the Bills most recently, I think, or the Saints. He's never been bad. He's decent. He's a tackler.
So
I think he's
basically,
been
he's
covered.
like the Deion Buchanan of like he was like a Deion Buchanan type.
Kind of
Never
yes,
great, just always sort of there.
yes. He can make a tackle with the best of them. He's all right in coverage. He's all right with pass deflection, stuff like that.
Yeah,
Kind of like Deion Buchanan. I think Deion's better, but I mean, he's kind of like that type of player.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. But let's see, what else should we talk about?
What do you think of the Tolliver kid, the receiver that caught the big pass from Kanoff? Like, what do you think that he demonstrated?
I didn't actually watch the game that far out, man.
Oh, that's right. You
I
in Carolina.
yeah, yikes. Yeah, it was like 11 or so when the third or fourth quarter was starting. So it's like, yeah, no, I'm good.
Well, what transpired was Kanoff. He launched I think like a 44-yard pass to I don't forget his first name. His last name's Tolliver. He's like a undrafted guy.
Anthony?
Anthony Tolliver. I think it's his name. He launched the ball to him, and the corner that was on him actually got a hand.
No, Anthony Tolliver's a basketball player. Yeah, I don't know.
Oh, okay. Well, anyways, yeah, the defensive back actually got a hand on the ball, and what impressed me about Tolliver was he didn't just give up on it like a lot of receivers do when they see a DB get his hand on the ball. He still put his hands up for the ball. He still caught it, everything like that, and that to me just shows perseverance. He plays to the whistle. I feel like that is something a lot of players are lacking these days. And I feel like that's something that Coach Wilkes wants to instill in this team. He wants to instill physicality. He wants to instill trust, stuff like that. And if a guy always plays to the whistle and never stops until the whistle, that's physicality, that's trust, that is work ethic. That's all the things you're looking for. So I think that catch right there just impressed me. And then, obviously the Knopf throw, it was good but not good at the same time because it was kind of underthrown. But, yeah.
Yeah, I feel like he very much embodies like a third stringer. Like I feel like if we had, I know it's like this is probably impossible to have. I don't know if he actually came in, whatever. If we had him instead of like Blaine Gabbert as our third string last year, that would have been great.
Yeah, Blaine Gabbert was really like
I remember
subpar.
hearing. The funniest thing is like I actually heard hype for Blaine Gabbert and like during the training camp, like
Yeah, I remember the hype.
Jacksonville and the Niners really fucked him over. He never had an offensive coordinator 2 years in a row, et cetera, et cetera. It's like, eventually it just comes to the point where it's just like it's making excuses for like what it is an inferior product.
I agree. Like, I didn't really get most of the hype, but after what happened with Ryan Lindley and we were forced to play him in the playoffs in 2014, I was like, I mean, Blaine Gabbert isn't terrible for a third string quarterback.
He got us wins, which is like the most I can really say about him.
I mean, he didn't make too many detrimental mistakes. That's all you can ask for.
If I remember right, didn't Lindley have like a record for like most passes without a touchdown or some shit?
I think so.
Yeah, it's just like, oh my god, we started that guy. Oh my lord.
Yeah, that was another great BA decision where instead of his fourth-round rookie, he decided to start Ryan Lindley. I mean, I know Logan Thomas isn't even a quarterback anymore, but Logan Thomas had to have been better than Ryan Lindley.
Well, I mean, it's more frustrating than anything. Sorry, I'm really tired. It's more frustrating it's more frustrating than anything to see this, like, because it's like that, like, given like how, like there's just like a bunch of fucking people on the free agents that are looking for like one last game,
Of course.
Like, it's like it's 2013. Like, you got to figure there's got to be like a Rex Grossman type or whatever who can like say, "Hey, you want to play a playoff game? Yeah, sure. Come on." But no, we started Ryan Lindley, and it's like, it was luckily for us we didn't get demolished that game, but we still lost in a pretty ugly fashion.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to talk about like the BA coaching, like tenure as a whole, other than 2015, which ended in heartbreak, I feel like BA was a really lackluster coach that only had appeal for his first 2-3 years and then really showed what he truly was, an outdated fossil that didn't understand personnel and nothing of that sort.
I think
BA was given way too much leeway with the personnel that was brought in onto the team and on a player basis, and as well as the coaching basis. Like, I mean, Amos Jones speaks volumes.
I mean, his biggest problem, in my eyes anyway, was that he went too much. He tried to focus too much on things that used to work. Like, he picked up Drew Stanton because he was okay in Indianapolis. And it's like, if you're the best quarterback in Indianapolis, the year Peyton Manning goes down, there's a problem. Or Amos Jones, like he only picked him up because he was a buddy from his Temple days, and it's like, if you're gonna pick somebody from special teams, why would you pick somebody from like 30 years ago? That's crazy.
I definitely agree.
And there's
a lot of questionable decisions that BA made that were detrimental to the team's success.
The fact that we kept going back to Drew Butler as a punter was always insane to me. Because I remember hearing like people say, like, I was on a fan board for the Cardinals and during that time, and it's like they were like so fucking pissed at like Amos Jones and and Drew Butler, because it's like apparently there was like this fucking Ray Guy winner that was still on the free agency, and we kept Butler despite that.
I know it was. There's so many terrible decisions. Like, okay, look at Dansby last year. Dansby wasn't not productive last year. Like, he was decent, but he was a liability in coverage. He was 36. He can't run anymore. All he could do was tackle. I mean, he was good at that still, but he was a liability and everything else. And
My dad had the funniest fucking. I know this is sorry tangent. My dad had the funniest fucking take about Dansby. He said he said he was like better than Urlacher, and it's like no, I don't think he was ever better than Urlacher.
I don't think he's better than Urlacher either. I think Dansby is going to be remembered as a very good linebacker that I think he has a shot at the Hall of Fame because his stats are pretty good. But
No, I feel like he, he's not enough of a name to do that. I feel like he's also, I
I
mean,
feel like he's underrated.
He's underrated, yeah, but like there are a lot of players who are underrated that should not make it to the Hall of Fame.
I can agree with that statement. I just think that while we were sporting around with Dansby, Perry Riley Jr. was sitting on the free agent market all year, not signed. When he's better in every way than Dansby at this point in his career.
Yeah,
I'm just like, BA, what are you doing? Like, do you like going 8-8? Do you like going 7-8-1? Like, what is this?
yeah, it's like all of our problems were reflected in like our games. It's like the year we had special teams problem, we lost like at least from what I can see, we lost 3 of those games just because we couldn't score on special teams.
Yeah, we really
We
did.
lost the Patriots game. We lost. I'd argue the Bills game. Some say we already lost it. I say we could have had it. And obviously the Seahawks game because Chandler Catanzaro shot the bed that night.
That would have put us at 11-5, and we'd have made the playoffs. Now, do you think we'd have won in the playoffs? I don't know, but that goes back to BA's personnel decision of having Amos Jones as special teams coordinator.
Well,
And it was detrimental.
I also think that's also unfair to say it was just the special teams or it was just such. I think the age of our players. I feel like we relied too much on having veteran players like lead the way instead of having like a younger core. And I know that's usually good, but when you have like an O line that's like slowly dying, like by the day, and you have like by the season's end, you don't even have the same O line. Like why even have those first guys?
I agree with that. That's why I go back to what I said. BA was outdated. You look at the Jaguars' defense; they are probably the youngest defense out there. You look at Jalen Ramsey; he's like 23. You look at AJ Boye, like 24. They got Puzzlesny. He was like Puzzlesny and Calais Campbell were the only like really veterans of like were like above 30 on the defense. Because you look at Malik Jackson, he's still under 30. Unique Ngakoue is like 23. Dante Fowler's like 22.
And it's like the things people were saying about like the Legion of Boom, 12th man types. Everything that they said is like showing in the Jaguars defense right now. If they remain dominant on defense, I feel like they will win a Super Bowl in the next few years.
I agree. I think Bortles is a serviceable quarterback that can be carried by his defense.
Yeah, I mean Bortles is like the defense is supposed to lift him up. I don't think. To say I feel like it's. I feel like the defense is supposed to propel him up. I mean, he is essentially the what's his face from the Ravens. He is he's basically the Trent Dilfer of the team.
See, I know that Bortles actually is talented, and
absolutely. I mean, he's shown some of those colors in his games, but I feel like he's also unpredictable. I feel like he can go one way one game and another way the other.
You got to give him a little leeway for the first 3 years of his career because he was with Gus Bradley, who is proven that he is only a defensive guy. And you look at how he was when he was defensive coordinator of the Seahawks. Obviously, they won the Super Bowl when he was defensive coordinator there, and now he's a defensive coordinator again. But he obviously was never an offensive guy, and I think that he got too involved with the offense and kind of toyed with Bortles too much. Now, of course, we have Doug Marrone, who's been around the game of football for decades. The guy is a leader. He doesn't take no bullshit. Like he literally just suspended Jalen Ramsey for a game, which is his all pro young corner. He suspended him for talking shit about the media. So he's obviously no bullshit kind of guy. He's going to bring in the best coaches, and I think Bortles is going to do nothing but benefit from that. So I think we're going to see even more of a leap from Bortles than we did last year.
Yeah. And it's a shame too because it's like such a great team, but like such a shitty fan base. And it's like
Definitely is
I
like a
know
shitty fan base. Like they have no faith.
yeah, I mean, it's I mean, I know somebody who's like, oh, I'm a Jaguars fan, I'm a Vikings fan, I'm a Steelers fan. It's like, I know this is like there are people who are like that, but like pick a team, guy. I've stayed with the Cardinals when we had fucking like we thought Drew Stanton was going to be our starter. Like I stuck with them for
That was a scary time. I'm not even gonna
yeah.
lie.
Oh my god, dude. And it's like this guy's like, oh, I support like 5 teams. It's like Jesus, guy.
Like bandwagon question mark.
Well, not even bandwagon. He just liked all of them. He just liked all of them at one time. It's like the guy who plays Madden has like 5 different teams.
Hey man, that's all good. You can't judge.
But anyway, should we close out the episode, or what? Should we keep going, or what should we do?
We can close out.
All right. So this upcoming week we play the New Orleans Saints, right?
Yeah, we play them in the Big Easy.
Yeah, we play them in Louisiana. I think that's on NFL Network, right?
I'm not sure if it's a nationally televised game or not.
No,
I'm not sure if it's on.
No, this one isn't. The Cowboys game, which is the next one, will be, and so will
That sounds more likely.
The final game. I think that's against the Broncos, right?
I don't know. You have to check on that. We can talk about that next week, though.
But anyway, thanks for coming to our podcast. This has been the Dirty Birds podcast, and we are out.